What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Make It Custom. I'm Carl Fisher, and we're back on the Zephyr. Yeah, I know you all been wanting to see this. I've been wanting to do this. We had a bunch of stuff we wanted to take care of first in the shop, and I'm really excited to finally be back on this car. As you might already know, this is my dream car. This is like something that I've wanted my whole life, and over the past couple of years, I've been trying to build my skills personally and the tool arsenal here to try and get this thing done. That being said, we're going to use a lot of simple stuff as well while we're working on this car and do a bit of both. Maybe some panels we'll make by hand, maybe some panels we'll make by power, and we are going to turn this thing into a 3-window coupe from a 4-door. I've linked in below the whole build series on this car if you want to catch yourself up to date. If you are new to the channel, thank you very much for being here, and let's get into this video. Okay, we're gonna start by doing a little walk around. What is the deal? So I bought this car as a 4-door Zephyr on Vancouver Island. I think it was around Ladysmith. Bought it from a really nice old gentleman that has owned this thing since 1974. So this thing has not seen the streets in, what is that, 51 years? Yeah, if my math is right. It's got a rebuilt V12 in it. It's basically fully rebuilt. This car doesn't have much for rust. It has a little bit that we're gonna have to repair, but he did work a lot of it over. 1939 original motor has been rebuilt. All the receipts, everything are with it. I've got, it's got a rebuilt transmission. The brakes have been gone through. And basically I got it as a stock vehicle that had, you know, the body was in this condition. Like, he had sanded on it a little bit. It's had a few coats of paint over the years, but more or less he was just kind of tinkering on it as an original 4-door. Now, when I got it, obviously my dream is to have a 3-window coupe. And so I started kind of cutting into it a little bit. And we've made the rear quarters already. We've merged the rear doors in with the front doors, something that I did that's a little bit different. I know there's another shop that's already done this as well. I promised I wasn't copying, but I think it's a great idea, and the car really turned out good. Lone Wolf Chop Rods, thank you for all your help and advice as well. He sent me a picture and a pattern of the trunk lid, but they did do this exact thing, which is use the C-pillar, which would be the actual rear suicide door pillar, and rear suicide door with the front door, and made this a like original looking exposed hinge suicide door car. Now that's what I wanted to do with it as well. So here it is. And everything has been kind of worked over a little bit. I got really lucky, and someone reached out to me that was doing the same thing, trying to turn a 4-door into a 2-door, and they had an original coupe trunk lid. Believe it or not, that is hen's teeth, hard to find. I wasn't even looking for it because I didn't think it was possible to even find one. And if it was possible to find one, I wasn't gonna be able to afford it. So it came up and it was affordable, and here it is. So I don't have to make a scratch built trunk lid, although I still aspire to do so, because this is something that I would like to build as a skill for myself, is make a trunk lid from scratch. So one day we'll get into that, but right now we don't have to do that. So it's got the original coupe trunk lid. These cars were original, you know, full skirted cars. Another cool feature of the Zephyr. And what else can we talk about as far as the car? I mean, if you're not familiar with Zephyrs, there is a couple of things that's a Zephyr only deal, basically. They have this very sought after dashboard because they had these symmetrical glove boxes for the driver and passengers, symmetrical ashtrays, and then a center waterfall dash, which the piece is right there. And they had this very unique shifter that would come out around the side of the dash. Something that is super cool, and I like it very much. We've replaced the A-pillars on this car. After chopping it, there would have been a weld here, there would have been the factory lead seam here, and another seam here, and tipping the pillars and everything, it just ends up being a lot of gobbledygook. So we fully made those pieces. Those are also part of the playlist that's in the description. If you guys are interested in that, we did that with simple tools as well. A lot of this stuff you can do by hand. That's the purpose of this channel, is to show that you can do this stuff, you know, with relatively simple tools. So you're gonna learn a lot, hopefully, by watching this build. We do have a ton of work yet to go on it. And with it in this condition, what is the next step? You know, we could continue working on the doors, we could continue replacing rust, we could do that stuff, but right now I'm gonna address the elephant-sized hole in the car. We are gonna start figuring out what is happening with all this and making it really look like the car that I want it to be. So first things first, step by step, before we start filling this in with sheet metal, we need to have a buck or a frame or something to put that sheet metal on so that we know whether or not it's going to be the right shape. Well, how do you come up with the right shape? Well, you start looking at it from profiles, from the side profile. What's that roof going to look like to the catwalk? Where's that back window going to be? Those are things that we need to know. And what's the profile of this going to be? The catwalk, the back of the roof, the back window. How are we going to get those profiles? What are we gonna do? Well, we need a place to attach our frame, like an airframe, similar to you know, aircraft, like angled, bent metal, so that we can, you know, take our patterns from that. We can have a look at that. We can set the shape that everything's gonna be. And in order to do that, I mean, I've never done this before to this extent. So this is from, you know, the things that I've observed and what I think is going to work, as well as anybody who's ever, you know, spoke with me or showed me how to do things. This is what I've picked up along the way. So it may not be right, but I'm working through it, and you guys are coming along with me. So I would like to start with having a profile that is the roof down to the trunk lid. Now, I've got the roof sitting there. I don't want to just weld directly to the trunk lid, so I'm going to need a trunk gutter. So I think that's where this video is going to start. This is a very long-winded way of saying I'm going to make a trunk gutter today and start kind of building out what the frame is going to look like here. So today's going to be a shrinking and stretching exercise, basically. We're going to use very simple shrink-a-stretcher. We're going to break some pieces of metal that are going to get profiled by using a shrinking and stretching tool to match the trunk lid and start building the trunk gutter all the way around. So I think that's what I'm going to start doing. Is we'll pull the trunk off and we'll start creating where the trunk gutter stopped as a four-door and continue it along here, up the edge and around the top. Once we've created a trunk gutter, now we'll have a place that we can start building basically a profile of this catwalk to roof section. Once we have that piece in place, if you can imagine that, then we'll start making pieces that go across this way. And we'll have an idea of what this 3D shape is going to be for the car. And once we have that, we can create a pattern of each of the pieces that we're gonna have to shape to make this thing a solid situation. So I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna grab some 18 gauge sheet metal and just bend some 90-degree pieces of 18 gauge and start shrinking and stretching until we have that gutter shape. Okay, I think step one is we're just gonna put a piece of flat sheet metal here. If you come around here and have a look, you can see how the original trunk gutter was made, right? There's this piece that basically comes out underneath this, up and around. That's where the seal goes. So this piece just needed to be like a bent over piece. Now, some of you might be asking already on the comments, like, why wouldn't you just bend this back over? Because if I take this vertical piece and I bend that over, I'd have to do a bunch of shrinking, and hand shrinking here would be quite difficult. So what I'm gonna do is just make a strip of material. I'm just gonna cut like a straight strip of material, and I'll just shrink it a little bit to get the curve that I need, because it does have a little bit of a curve this way going into it. So it looks like, well, I'll just measure it, see what size that is. Of course, I don't know where the tape measures are because the tape measure bandit has been afoot. Okay, so yeah, like a 3/4 inch piece. I'll just shear up a little 3/4 inch piece of 18 gauge. We're just gonna measure up a little piece here. I know it doesn't have to go that full length, but we'll just make it a little bit short on that. It starts curving at some point. You get two pieces going. So we need just a little bit. Looks like there's a little bit more bend right there than on the other side. Go to the shrinker. You know, I've never thought about doing like a flat piece in a shrinker. It's kind of weird. Yeah, see, we get that nice bend in there. I would have tried to perfectly cut that on a curve, and I would have never thought to just like use a shrinker for it until I saw Mike Wagner doing it. Okay, a little bit more right there, a little bit at the end. Shrinker stretcher, they are so inexpensive that, and they don't take up much room. I feel like it's sort of a must-have. Everybody asks me about what are the must-have tools in your shop. I always tell them, like, you don't need a power hammer. You don't really need like a planishing hammer, that kind of stuff you don't really need. But the simple, inexpensive stuff like, you know, the shrinker stretcher, it's pretty important, I think. Tiny bit more right there. The stretcher, not so much. I mean, if you get one, you get both, but on the channel, we showed how to make your own stretcher, and it works way better than that thing, and it's like super cheap to make. So it's kind of like, why wouldn't you? Okay, hopefully that's good. We're nailing it. Okay, we need another one. Well, we'll do one side at a time because they might be slightly different. We don't know. You're still a little bit above the body line, so I'm just gonna grind it down a little. I saw in one of the last videos, like, why air tools and not electric battery operated tools, and I will address that comment right now. Basically, I've just always had air tools. They're loud, they make your hands cold, and they never run out of battery. So I know Elio's like a big advocate for the battery stuff, and I think that I will be too. I've tried a lot of his tools, like his handheld, like Milwaukee stuff, and I do like it. So I would say that the reason why I don't have that stuff is just because I'm so invested in this so far. And I probably will eventually be that guy that has some of those battery operated tools. There's a lot to be said about battery operated stuff. Like, you don't have to have a compressor. When they're off, they're off. You know, I guess it's kind of like air ride and hydraulics. Like, air ride's like loud and your compressors are always running and there's leaks and stuff like that. But then when you have hydraulics, like, it's only when you go whoop, whoop, like that's the only time you hear it, right? So like the only time you're gonna hear your tools with the battery operated one is when you're operating the batteries. So I guess, yeah, I like the idea of upgrading, we'll put it that way, but I have not upgraded yet. All right, those two pieces on now. I think what we can do is pop the trunk lid back on. Once we've got the trunk lid back on and now we've got this side exposed, we should be able to make like a 90-degree piece that radiuses the corner and starts to turn up. And once we've got that piece, basically we'll make that corner piece and then these flatter pieces that go to the peak. The latch is still in this thing, so we can kind of hook it right back into the latch point, more or less. So yeah, get a good look at that this whole line here. See how we're up? And then it comes and it touches the lead here, and then more or less has an okay seam there. Now check out this side. This side is touching hard up here, and it's away in the middle. So what does that mean? You know, does it mean that these cars were built one at a time and aren't the same? What would you do to make that better? Doesn't mean that the trunk's wrong or the car's wrong or that piece that we just made is wrong, because that is the body line of the car. It just means that if this trunk lid was fit to this body from the factory and it wasn't a four-door, there probably would have been more lead in here, or that piece would have been welded on in a different body jig. What I will say is I will want the center of this trunk to point to the center of the body. So I'll probably take a piece of tape or something and or even a ruler, and we'll just aim straight down and make sure that in between these two holes, the very center of that lines up to the center of this, because we do have a little bit of room to go side to side. Okay, so for these little corner pieces, we actually trim this piece down a little bit so we can use our stretcher. The reason being is because if it was that thick flange for these little corners, like we're gonna leave that thick flange for this piece, but if we had to do these little corners with that full-size flange, I think that we would stretch this out to the point where it'd be too thin, and we don't want to do that. So that's why I cut this flange down a little bit. But this is our stretcher tool that we made. It replaces your kick shrinker stretcher, or sorry, your kick stretcher. The shrinker is still very useful, but this makes for a nicer flange. It doesn't use the serrated edges and start pulling it apart like that, so. Okay, we are pretty close to being able to give this a tack. A lot of little shrinking and stretching. You can see the kind of finish that you get when you use something like this. It's a lot nicer than, you know, all these serrated edges. Like this is shrinking, so you're making the material thicker, so I'm not as worried about it. But if you're grabbing and pulling to stretch with the serrated edge dies, there are more expensive dies that don't do that as much, but regardless, you're still like making it thinner in like a very tight location. But yeah, a little bit of shrink, a little bit of stretch. We're trying to get it pretty close, like the The gap, like I said earlier, it's not perfect all the way around because, you know, they were built one at a time and they're not perfect. So we are gonna have to gap the car to make it as nice as we want it. But this is enough that we can, you know, get both sides made and then start making our centerpiece. So yeah. Okay, on to the other side. That took a little while, actually. Close enough. Move on. Now we're gonna make this piece that goes all the way across. I'm not sure if we can make it out of one piece. I think we might be able to. My tips on doing a very long piece like this is that you want it to fit. You don't want to just start stretching stretching the whole thing. You want to start making it fit here, and then 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 here. You want to start at one end and go all the way to the other end, because it's too difficult to keep messing with it. Okay, so there's like not a whole lot of stretch at all, really. There's a little bit of, you know, shrink on this edge to get this, a little bit of stretch this way. So what we've got here is, this is our planishing hammer. You guys have seen it before. What a linear stretch die is the same thing that we showed you that little tool, right? If I made that tool a little bit deeper, it would do the same thing. We wouldn't have to use this. But we started making these with a little pinhole in it so that we could accept indexed dies, meaning that you just lock the die from spinning. It's not meant to move around. If it's a round die, it doesn't matter. But because this is linear stretch, we've got a slight crown this way, and it's kind of dead flat this way, so that we can stick a piece in and stretch it linearly. As far as flow goes, I'll look right down it and just kind of see if I notice a flat spot, because we can look at this, you know, while holding on to it, but we should be clecoing it and double checking to see like how close is it really. I think I like it. So yeah, what I am gonna do now that I'm pretty happy with it is throw a couple of clecos in it. We'll just kind of put maybe a tab here, same. Just little chunks of sheet metal that I'll weld to the trunk lid and drill a hole in on this side so that it can hold that piece in place for us. Okay, so some fine tuning can happen, but we are essentially clecoed on, which that's cool. I like that. You know, we could adjust this a little bit, but that's mostly just helping us to check it so we can fine tune it and whatnot and what have you. I think I might start looking at making this profile. That is going to be like kind of a very crucial, critical thing. Is just getting the catwalk to the rear window to the roof. Like, what is that shape going to look like? What I did here, this is just a first glance mock-up. This is not, I didn't refine it. I just like made two pieces and clamped them on. Camera died as soon as I did that. So here it is. There's kind of, you can see the catwalk and then where the back window would be and then what the roof would be like. It's not exactly what it needs to be. This transition here has to be a lot sharper to give us a large area for that back window. So there's a couple of, I might even have to chop that back window, but this is just an exciting little first look, right? So the next step, I think, is to get the back window and place the back window. You know, I don't know if I've chopped this so much that the back window will need to be chopped a little bit. Most of the ones that I've seen, people don't chop the back window, but at the same time, it's a full size for, you know, even laid down and everything, it takes up a lot of real estate. So I don't know if I have to chop the back window or not. So let's go find the back window. I'm also gonna use this as an opportunity to let everybody know that, you know, we're booked up for classes completely, so we don't have anything at the moment. But what I am gonna do, and I know a lot of you have been waiting for this one, is we're gonna have a chop class. So this 52 Chevy, which you may have seen before, it's a coupe. It's a pretty good body. It's had some patches in it, like somebody's, you know, half restored it a long time ago. And we are gonna chop that in the class. This car will also be available for somebody to buy after we chop it. It's not gonna be a finished chop. It's gonna be like, we're gonna fully cut it, get it down, line everything up. We call it a whack and tack, but somebody after we're done with it could just finish all the welding and have their chopped 52 Chevy. I'm not gonna ask a lot of money for it. It'll be on the website. Anybody who decides to purchase the car before the chop class can have a free spot in the chop class. This car has a motor in it and everything. It's got like a rebuilt carb on it and stuff. Somebody was, oh, here we go. Somebody was trying to pull it out, so it's kind of half pulled out. But that's the news. We'll talk more about that later. But heads up, first news. Chop class will be on the website. You can come out for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, we are going to fully have like a little pizza party in the shop and lay out all the cuts and get ready. That's gonna be Friday night. Saturday will be a big day. We'll be making all the cuts, cutting it down, and starting to line things back up. Sunday, we will be lining everything back up and making the shaped sail panels for the back. So when this car gets chopped, these panels will have to be shaped. So to be like a little mini metal shaping class on that, everybody can try making a panel, whatever ones fit the best, we're gonna weld those in. Anyway, Kitsune found the roof. What does it smell like? Does it smell like 90-year-old car? The package tray has the hinges on the back. They're in a different position on the four-door, but the hinges are the same as far as I can tell. So we are gonna have to kind of dissect some of the pieces from this. And let's flip it over. Have a look at our back window. There's the back window. So it's possible that we might need to take like maybe an inch out of that. I don't know yet, but I think what I might do rather than bring this in the shop is just bring a grinder out here and start cutting it up. I don't think that there's anything we can use with the trunk gutter, but we can at least see what the profile looks like and try and mimic that. I think we will use some of the package tray. It'll have to be modified a bit, but like we'll have to probably make it wider and it'll be in a different location. The hinges will be in a different location, all that stuff, but we'll use what we can. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Does that apply to this? Sure, why not? What do you guys think? Put it in the comments. Profile-wise, how are we looking? I almost feel like maybe it's a little bit too much of a hump there, but I can't really tell. I kind of want to take a little bit out of that, I think. We're just playing with back window placement here and having a look how it flows. Now this is all very critical right now because whatever we do is what's done. I chopped it kind of heavy, so it makes me feel like this back window could get chopped a little. Might be unpopular opinion, but the thing I'm running into is that because the roof is so low, the flow at the top of the window almost feels like it peaks there a little bit. This also needs to start flowing out, which means this back window is going to drop even more, which is going to peak that even more. It kind of flows right now, but we do need to get this swoopiness into here a little bit, I think. Or do we? I don't know. Elio's wondering if this should be like longer and the back window should be further ahead. I think it's tough, man. Maybe. Probably, to be honest, like even like an inch, like another inch forward. Yeah. Could make a difference that way. Like put the timestamp in of when you liked it the best. I don't know I think for me, this has gotten increasingly better the more we've played with it. And I think the flow is looking pretty good. All right, well, this has been a long episode. I am gonna cut it right here. I think we made a lot of progress on the Zephyr. Super stoked with getting back on this car. I'm reignited about it, very excited about it. And I think we've hammered out pretty much where things are gonna be. What is the flow of this roof line gonna be? I am going to probably take an inch out of this rear window. I do like where it sits right now, but I think that because of it's being a heavy chop on the car, the back window does look a little large. So yeah, probably take like 3/4 of an inch or an inch out of the rear window just to make it seem like it suits the rest of the windows a little bit more. But I mean, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and there are plenty more to come. I'm gonna be on the Zephyr for a while, and we are gonna get this car looking like a 3-window coupe. It is time. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. If you want to check out the website, japhandskustoms.com, merch, tools, DXF files, beadforming stuff. If you want to have a little bit more interaction and a chat room and all the DXF files for free if you plan on building any of our homemade tools. Patreon is the place to be, $4 a month. It's like buying me a coffee every month, and we get to hang out on Patreon. You get ad-free videos as well. So thanks a lot, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.